What's going on, guys? This is Kyle here from Legion Certified, back again with another video, and it's time for my OnePlus 5T review. So guys, really quickly, I gotta take you back, all the way back to early November. I was asked to attend my very first launch event for any product, any device, any phone, anything. This is my very first event. I'm super excited, I'm super happy, and it happened to be for one of my favorite devices of 2017-2018, the OnePlus 5T. The release event took place in New York City in Brooklyn. It was a nice little like private gallery kind of area that they set up, and as soon as you walk in the entrance, you see a big OnePlus sign, and they direct you where you gotta go, and then you go find your seat. And I experienced the whole entire launch event for the first time with fresh eyes. I was super excited, super happy. Being a YouTube creator and being recognized in your field and asked to attend an event is awesome in and of itself, but it just so happened to be for one of my favorite products. I've always been a fan of OnePlus devices since the first OnePlus. I've owned them all except for the X, I believe. Every one of those devices had its positives and negatives. So jumping right into the review, the design of the OnePlus 5T, to say the least, is not very inspiring. It's basically the same design as the OnePlus 5 with a stretched out 1080p screen, same as found on the OnePlus 5. The only difference is that with that stretched out screen, of course, you lose the fingerprint sensor on the front of the screen, but they decided to include it on the back of the actual device. Now, the aluminum body design feels very reminiscent of every other aluminum body flagship that we've kind of seen since, the iPhone 6. Similar to the OnePlus 5, the fingerprint sensor was moved to the rear to make room for that big screen and to accommodate that new form factor that they were going for. Very 2017, and I think OnePlus recognized when they released the OnePlus 5 that many fans were unhappy because they felt that they weren't getting a device that was up to date with the ongoing trend. So very simply put, the design of the OnePlus 5T was just a simple refresh of the OnePlus 5. Most consumers were looking for that new screen to body ratio that many 2017-2018 flagships are investing research and development in. And I think overall, OnePlus definitely succeeded on this fact. They created a screen on a smartphone that both is big in size and has a nice screen to body ratio, but also doesn't consume so much power that the power users of the OnePlus 5 and OnePlus 5T would be unhappy with. So definitely, if you are moving up from a OnePlus 5 to a OnePlus 5T, you're not sacrificing battery life to have that larger screen. Another huge difference, apart from the actual design, is the camera performance. The camera performance is great. I think for this price point, it's a great camera. The only problem that I have with the camera is that I feel that OnePlus could have completely left out the low light sensor and just gave us a better main camera for every situation. And it seems like whenever I would take a picture with the OnePlus 5T, it would use that main sensor anyway, unless it was an absolute last resort and the camera recognized that it was basically almost pitch black in the room. Battery life on the OnePlus 5T, I touched on it earlier. Although you have the larger screen, you're not really losing any battery life. I think most people, most consumers, and power users will be pretty happy with the battery life on the OnePlus 5T. If you're really running the device down and you have so many apps going all at once and you're doing a lot of multitasking and jumping back and forth, you're going to get about 4.5 hours of battery life. But if you're just a typical user who's running 2 or 3 apps, jumping in and out, making phone calls, doing texts, as most really heavy power users do, you're going to get about 4.5 to 6 hours of on-screen time, and I found that most of the time it was leaning towards 6 hours for me. So I was very happy with the actual battery life. So by far, when it comes to the battery of the OnePlus 5T, the absolute best feature of any OnePlus device definitely gotta be dash charging. I think dash charging is the absolute best way to charge your phone. When you're in a rush and you need that quick top up of battery life, you are ready to go in about half an hour, and you're gonna get pretty much at least a half a charge on that battery. So that definitely really comes in handy, especially if you're the type of person that goes to work for a full 8 hours and then comes home and then steps out again. So something that I noticed while using the OnePlus 5T was definitely the audio quality of that single bottom firing speaker. It was definitely really loud, really crisp and clear. When you maxed it out, it had a little bit of distortion to it, but I noticed that most of the time when watching YouTube, enjoying pretty much any content, the content was very loud and very clear, and even though it was only one speaker on the bottom, it sounded great. Now, one of the absolute best features, the software is flawless in the sense that you will rarely encounter any issues with the software because it's so close to stock Android. I think OnePlus, utilizing Oxygen OS, definitely has that pixel vibe, and what it does for me as, you know, a power user, I would say, I definitely feel like when it comes to all that horsepower that they put in the RAM, as well as 128 gigs of storage, all of that adds up to just a buttery smooth experience. If you own the OnePlus 5T, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But if you have yet to purchase one, do yourself a favor, go buy one. I would definitely recommend it 100%. OnePlus does a lot of software tweaking when it comes to helpful and useful features, and plain and simple customization options that you have with the OnePlus 5T are very extensive. You can pretty much customize a lot of different aspects of the phone to whatever you like as a person, as a user, as someone who is a creator or a creative person. You definitely have a lot of freedom with customizing the OnePlus 5T. So really quickly, just summing everything up and touching on my overall experience with the device, I've had the OnePlus 5T pretty much since it was available to order. Being that I went to the event, they gave me the opportunity to be one of the first people to order the device, and they also gave me a discount on that order as well. So essentially, being that I had the device since launch pretty much, I would have to say that my overall total experience of the OnePlus 5T, I would have to say, is probably hands down one of the best experiences that I've ever had on a smartphone. It pretty much blows away a lot of the competition out there for flagships just because it's running that smooth software. It has all that horsepower, and it just simply is a joyous experience using the device. It feels good in the hand, it looks nice, it runs very well. There's just really nothing to complain about when it comes to the OnePlus 5T. I think the fact that the design wasn't an all-new original design would pretty much be the only complaint that most OnePlus enthusiasts would have. The OnePlus 5T is definitely a great device, especially for that price. I think if you're in the market for an Android device that's easy to use, ready to go when you need it, and always at your side for a cost-efficient price, with a decent camera, I think you cannot go wrong with the OnePlus 5T. At the end of the day, most consumers don't want to spend $1,000 on a flagship device, and the OnePlus 5T, although it is considered by many to be a mid-range device, is definitely a flagship worthy device. I think it competes with the best Android phones out there, hands down. I would recommend it to anyone who hasn't tried one. Go out, get some hands-on time with the phone. I think you'll love it. There are Android phones out there that offer a lot of other features and more features, don't get me wrong, but I think if you want a solid phone for a decent price and you are not looking at the OnePlus 5T, you're definitely making a mistake. So guys, those are my thoughts on the OnePlus 5T. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. This is Kyle with Legion Certified, signing out.